first thing is congrats. Playoffs. What a year by you.
Appreciate you, man.
And thanks for hanging out with me here for a few minutes. I know you got practice here in a few minutes. Fun question right off the bat, right? Your neck. Where did you get this big, thick neck from?
Someone actually, I guess you said that a few months ago. Someone said something to me, and I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then I saw it, and I was like, oh. So, I don't know. I guess I've been in the gym. I mean, I know I've been in the gym, but I guess partly from that, I've always been trying to gain weight, I feel like, my whole life. So, I've always tried to prioritize lifting, working out, trying to stay in shape and put on muscle and weight.
Right.
So I think finally it's starting to stick a little bit. I'm starting to hold some of it, but I guess that's it. I don't know.
Well, I was like you too. I had to kind of work to keep the weight to stick on too. But yeah, it's pretty impressive. Like you don't do actual exercises for it, do you?
Yeah, a couple days a week. Yeah.
All right, so you put something to it. That's like an LB neck right there. I like it. All right, so wait, you're how much you weigh right now? Just so
like 220.
220?
Yeah.
Okay, you look bigger than that, honestly. Would have thought that. All right, so I want to hit on just a few things, if you don't mind. Like, saw you at the Hall of Fame game, and you didn't play, but I sat there for 45 minutes and watched you do this extensive warm-up, right? And I came up to you after, and I was like, dude, you changed some of your mechanics, and you said, thanks for noticing. So, like, what was the precipice of that, and where did that kind of start?
Yeah, just, there were some things from the tape, really the last couple years, but especially my rookie year, last year.
Right.
Just some of my mechanics as the season went on, and even at the beginning of the season where I just didn't like how I was finishing, whether that's leaning. I was a big leaner, and I still tend to do that. It's kind of natural for me.
Yeah.
But trying to keep everything square, really create energy from the ground, and use my core to generate, velocity, whatever it is on the ball, without having to use so much upper body and lean to get the ball to push it downfield. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've improved on, is not leaning and just using the rotation more so than that.
Well, I don't mind. If you don't mind, can we stand up?
Yeah,
I love doing this like quarterback school. First off, I'd love to see your grip. Let me just see how you. So you're a 1 and under 4 guy.
Yep.
Always gripped it like that. Did you ever change coming out of high school, college, anything?
Since I can remember, it's been like this. Yeah.
It's just natural for you.
Yeah,
all right, and then so you're talking about with your throwing, you were kind of like leaning like this and kind of just falling out of there a little bit.
Yeah,
almost?
more so like when you go to throw and you're here in this position, so then you like disconnect from your arm, and that's doing all the work. And now I try to stay here, or really here, to where it's connected, and I can use any arm slide. It can be here if it needs to be. If it needs to be around a guy, it can be here. But once you get here, it makes it hard to. You kind of lose that connection with your arm and where it's going.
Yeah, and so you feel a lot more comfortable with that, and
feel great. Yeah,
just consistent. And you got they stay on you with this stuff, the new coaching staff.
Yeah, for sure. We have people that are always looking at that mechanic wise, especially after games. I have my guy. His name's Will. He checks all the tape, and that's what we talk about. Is like, okay, it might be one, especially like a max effort throw down the field where I tend to go back to my lean and just trying to keep everything connected. Because you know how it is playing quarterback. The harder you try to throw it, usually the less far it goes.
Right, you lose control of it.
100%. So that's stuff we talk about all the time.
Yeah. All right. So throw of the year for you, right off. Like I didn't mean to even ask you this, but come on, let's sit down again.
Throw of the year.
Throw of the year. Like where was one where it just jumps to you, where you just go, man, that felt good. That felt right. I ripped it. I did everything right that way.
I don't know about throw of the year. That's tough. The one to Zay was pretty awesome when he ran the double move off the movement.
Right. You mean against
just
Dallas?
Launched against Dallas.
Right?
Yeah,
that was a great throw.
So that one was cool.
Right.
And that was the deepest one. So that was pretty sweet. Yep. But I had one last week. It was Marvin on a little over route, and I had to, there was a
rush.
I think, there was someone. We were blocking the guy, but he was kind of in my lap a little bit, and I just threw around him, and it was kind of cool seeing Marvin come over the middle and right between the backers. So that was a pretty cool one too.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, so like when you talk about your career, you're such a gifted physical freak. Everything seems like it's been easy for you. You just go walk into college football and win a national championship as a freshman and beat Alabama. No big deal. But you had some struggles here as a rookie, maybe even early on this year. Like, what was that moment where you were like, whoa, the NFL is kind of a different animal, or this is a lot harder than I expected? Did you have that moment?
I think it's just a continual learning process of over the last 2 years of just realizing how hard it is to win for one in this league, but how hard it is to be consistent, and the amount of work it takes, and just the level of preparation, all those things, the amount of focus it takes every single play to be consistent when you're playing against the best. There's just not much margin for error, so there really isn't. And guys are so good, they're so smart, especially when the stakes get high. Games like this weekend, games like last week, all those things, and it just ups the ante a little bit more, and the intensity and the focus, it just takes a little bit more. And I think that's something that I've learned past 2 years of just, how to prepare more. Then really, like I've talked about before, just getting my confidence back and really just going and playing free and allowing myself to go make plays and be myself.
Right. I mean, you look as confident as ever. Was there a moment this year or last year where you were like, you hit rock bottom a little bit? Like, is there a game or a throw or whatever you're just like, man, like this is about as low as I've been as an NFL or as a competitor in anything?
Yeah, I mean, definitely had some of those moments last year, just kind of up and down, where you had games where I didn't play well, had a bunch of turnovers, whatever it was. And then this year, talked about before, just the Denver game. After that game,
in London.
Had a couple turnovers, had one to end the game in 2 minutes.
Out route on the right.
Yep,
right?
just missed the throw, got picked off to end the game. We had a chance to take the ball down the field and score and take the lead. And that moment was definitely tough. We had lost a couple in a row leading up to that point, and then feeling like you have opportunity to win it and you don't get it done.
Yeah, and did you ever look at like mechanics or any of that, like jump into that, or just more just you feeling comfortable within?
Yeah, I think it's comfortability, it's confidence, it's all those things. I think you can tell some throws in that game I just hesitated a little bit, and I'm a second late on some of my throws, and that can affect obviously the timing, but also ball placement, all those things makes it even tougher when you're late. So I think that's a lot of my issues stem from that.
Yeah. All right. So, you're kind of on fire here as of
Appreciate
late.
you, man.
All right. And you're a machine. What was the moment the lights went on? Or do you have a moment, a game this year that you kind of went like, oh, okay, we as a team got something, and I'm got that confidence. I'm feeling good right now.
There's been spurts, early in the season, but just not consistently.
Right.
With myself or just everyone together playing. So there were spurts of it. I think really in that Vegas game here when we were down 17 and had to come back and win that game, and we found a way to win it at the end of the game. And all the other games we had lost by one score, and so it kind of felt like that. But we were able to kind of get over the hump, and offensively, we had to put up a lot of points in a short amount of time. And I think that really gave us some confidence. And from then, we went to Kansas City, lost that game, but felt like in the passing game we were really starting to click. Our communication stuff we hadn't even necessarily talked about, but we had talked about similar coverages and situations, and just seeing how the guys responded on the field. And we were just on the same page. And then from there, I think every week it's gotten a little bit better and better, and the confidence is growing. And then you see like just the way our whole team is feeding off each other right now.
Yeah, right. It's rolling. There's no question. You could feel it. And I kind of felt it at a Hall of Fame game, just seeing you guys in person going, man, there's a lot of good-looking guys out here on the football field. I knew that. I don't think you've gotten enough credit for like its second year and its second system. Everybody's kind of like, oh, it's Trevor. He'll figure it out. No big deal. But what's it been like adjusting to Doug Peterson, his offense, and having him kind of look over you as the next quarterback in the NFL too?
It's been great. There's adjustments, there's differences. Every system's a little bit different in the way, especially play callers think.
Yeah.
I think it takes some time to really learn that and to be truly like in sync with one another. And I think we did it pretty quickly here, but that takes a little bit of a process, to kind of get that chemistry going.
Get in his head, like what's he thinking with this call?
Now I feel pretty good about. Obviously, I don't know every single call that's gonna come out of the headset, but I do have an idea of what he wants to get to, what he likes, what are the shots that he likes, certain areas of the field, whatever it is. And I think we're really starting to be on the same page more and more every week.
Yeah. The offense, like mentally, kind of, when did you finally feel like relaxed? Like I know I've been in some situations where it's like, whoa, I'm breaking the huddle and I'm still kind of processing the play.
Still putting it all together.
Yeah. When did it finally just kind of come to you where you go, okay, I'm just looking at the defense. I don't have to like necessarily rethink what I just said in the huddle.
I think obviously I was doing that through OTAs. You're really thinking a lot, and you're trying to learn the system and learn everything and put it all together. So there was a little bit of that where you're walking up to the line, still trying to think where everyone is. But I really think during camp, probably halfway through camp, I felt really, really good and confident of just hear the play call. I can picture it immediately, spit it out, and then you're just going up there and you're looking at the defense. You're not thinking about where your guys are going. Hey, which side is my, you have obviously two different concepts usually, so it's like which side is this and that.
Yeah,
so,
right.
You already know it when you're heading up there. And then just, like I said, as the season's gone on and you realize kind of what's our bread and butter, what is stuff that we do well, and then the wrinkles you add onto that, and then it just kind of flows more natural throughout the season. And when you game plan, it's a lot different than in camp and OTAs where you have the whole playbook in and you're just repping everything.
Right.
When you game plan, you kind of have the blueprint of what you're going to do, and you can prepare it a little bit differently for that.
Yeah. Does Coach Peterson, he kind of seems like a guy, I don't know, is he a guy that's always putting a hot poker on your butt, or is he a kind of guy that's like, hey, I'm in this fight with you here, and like almost, what's his kind of approach with you as a quarterback?
Yeah, he's really, he's really laid back. I think the way he communicates has been really, really cool to see. And I think the quarterback is just it's a different position. The mindset behind it, just having to be even keel. You can't get too high or too low. And I know he understands that because he's played the position. So that helps a lot with our communication. He likes to like poke fun and all that stuff. You throw a bad ball or a duck, he'll look at you kind of funny or make a noise, in the background. But
I love it.
He's not a guy that's a big rah-rah, get in your face, scream, whatever. He doesn't do any of that. He understands, the mental part of our position and kind of what we have to get done, and we can communicate really well. He does a good job of that.
You seem so smooth and calm and collect, and I've never seen you really ever look at you, even back in college, where I go, oh, the guy looks flustered right now. What's your mechanism, for lack of a better way to say it, to deal with criticism or people like me who might make Zach Wilson the first quarterback in the draft that year? An idiot decision by me there.
I just try to stay the same every day. And it's changed as I've gotten older and I've kind of dealt with more criticism, especially being in the league. It's definitely, the microscope is different than college, and the expectations, rightfully so, So I think it's changed. I think I've actually started to use some of that stuff as more fuel this year especially, and just, kind of all the doubters and the naysayers and whatever it may be, I've kind of let it be a little chip on my shoulder, which is an approach that, I haven't really had to use in the past. And, I think it's been good for me. And I think our whole team kind of thinks that way. And, we have something to prove. And that's the way we play every week. And same thing for me. But honestly, leading up to that, I think more so is I try to block everything out. You can't, if you listen to too much of the criticism, it's not good. If you listen to too much of the love or whatever, the compliments, people talking you up, that's not good either. So I think there's a balance. You have to really have good people around you, and you trust the criticism from your coaches, your teammates, all those things. And other than that, it's really just about the people in this building, and people are going to have a lot of different opinions, and all I can do is control who I am and what I do every day. And, I think that's how I've been able to kind of weather the storm of, things might not be going great. I might not be playing great, but I know I'm going to come out on the other side better from it if I just keep going. And I think that's the biggest thing is you can't get impatient. You can't let it get to you. You just have to keep playing.
Yeah, you do a great job of that. I like it though. A little chippiness in you now.
For sure.
I like it. Next level Trevor Lawrence right there.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself, watching other quarterbacks in the league, competing with them, even though I know you're not competing with them? Are you one of those kind of guys? How do you kind of avoid those comparisons and that kind of stuff?
It's really, every situation's different, so it's hard to compare like that. I think, you'd be lying if you said you didn't want to have, great numbers and be top quarterback in the league, all those things, because, stats and numbers do tell a story, but I really try not to compare myself to those guys in that way, because obviously winning is the most important, but, in order to win, you got to play well, and that kind of coincides with stats a lot of times. So, I think it's important for me to play well, because I know that gives us a better chance to win, but at the same time, not every situation's the same, and I think that's people kind of get lost in that, and they just want to look at numbers, and half the time people don't watch games, and they look at the box score and they see whatever, oh, he played great, or he played terrible and he didn't watch the game. So it's, I understand that people do that too, so I don't put too much really value in just looking at that, but obviously, when you look at it, I want to be, one of the best quarterbacks in this league, so it's important to me.
Yeah, are you one that's on the sidelines, like, oh, whoa, okay, Dak Prescott's doing that. I'm going to come back and answer it right here.
Talking about when we're playing each other?
Yeah, when we're playing each other. Would you be doing that with Justin Herbert on Saturday night a little?
Not in that mindset.
Yeah.
You understand, though, especially this time of year when you're playing a really good team, their ability to score and score fast, and just the big play ability that they have, whether that's the Chargers, the Cowboys, whoever it is, all these teams that have really good offenses. So you understand going into that week, that's something you think about of, we have to play really well on offense. We got to be able to score. We got to be able to turn field goals into touchdowns in the red zone. We can't settle for field goals. We got to win that battle. But I don't look at it as me versus him necessarily. But you understand the weapons and the skill they have on the other side of the ball.
You might have to keep up with them today,
for sure, 100%.
Or play a different game that's conservative or whatever. So the big picture going into the game.
Yep, 100%. So you have to be aware of that. And obviously, our defense is playing great. So I got all the faith in them. But at the end of the day, our job as an offense is to score one more point than the other team. So whether that's 20, like it was this week, or whether that's 40, either way, the job's to win the game.
Yeah, you're doing that. Now, like a guy like Justin Herbert, he in a lot of ways reminds me of you. You guys have like a similar body structure. I mean, you both can throw rockets and lasers all over the field. What's your thoughts of him? You got to play him this year, but watching him from afar.
I mean, I've been really impressed with him ever since, I've been watching him, 2 or 3 years ago when he came into the league. And, I had a chance to meet him, I think, at the Manning Passing Academy. I don't know him super well, but I met him, and seems like a great guy, really down to earth, and appreciate the way he goes about his business. I think you can, playing this position especially, you see guys in the way, they represent themselves, and whether that's in the media or, whatever it is with their team, I think you kind of see guys that you respect how they carry themselves, and he's definitely one of those guys. And his play speaks for himself. That guy is definitely one of the strongest arms in the league, and just the plays he can make. There's really definitely not a throw that he can't make.
Yeah.
So when you're out there and you're watching, the ball can go anywhere, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, well, that's why we're excited at NBC, because Saturday night we could see a lot of throws from both of you guys that do that. All right, I know we got to go, and you got practice, and you got more things that are important than me here, but playoff football.
Yep.
I got to play in one playoff game. I certainly wasn't you, but I got to play in one, and I know what stood out to me was as soon as I walked in the stadium that day, I was like, whoa, it's different.
Yeah.
And even though you think like the NFL's crazy already, and then even going on the field in pregame, I was like, whoa, this is a little bit more intense than normal. What are you expecting? Have you sought out any advice from maybe other quarterbacks about playoff football?
Yeah, I mean, there's been, CJ, who's one of our quarterbacks here. We've talked a little bit about it, and that's one thing he said. Even the beginning of the season, leading into like where we're at now, he's like, the playoffs is just different. All you have to do is get in, and it's like a new season. And it's true. Like once you're here, I think that's why it seems that way, because it really is like a new season. Everyone's on even playing field.
Right.
It's win to keep playing, and if you don't win, you're going home, and everybody knows that. So, the intensity, the preparation, everything is just ticked up a notch. And everyone understands what the stakes are, and I think that kind of evens the playing field, and everyone knows whatever it takes to win. In the regular season, it's the same way, but you got 17 games, it's a long season, for sure I'm playing next week, and what does that look like and all that. But here it's, what are we going to do Saturday night to win and keep playing?
Right. Good luck, man.
Appreciate you, Cris. Yeah,
all right.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. And then, hey, you know what? My son, I just did keep rolling if you can. My son's growing his hair out.
Oh, yeah?
All right? He's going for the Trevor Lawrence look.
I love it.
But any advice I should give him? As a father, I'm like, can you please cut your hair a little bit?
I know. I was like my dad. Just let him grow it, man. Just let him
grow
have fun. He'll get tired of it eventually when to cut it. I mean,
well, you didn't get tired of it.
I might show up and shave it. Yeah, I did it. But I had a buzz cut as a kid, though.
Did you?
So I didn't do it early on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, anyways,
hey,
appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate your time, man.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.